Good morning. Happy New Year. Great to see you here, fresh 2026. Here we come. I am Leah Levine, a member of your parish committee, and we're so glad to see you here today in person and also online in this beautiful sanctuary. We would love to give a special welcome to anyone who is visiting. We are so glad to see you here today, and we welcome you to join us after the service directly downstairs for coffee hour. And if you so choose, we would love for you to grab a red mug to indicate that you're open to connection and conversation, and somebody will find you. And that's open to anybody, I think, new or not. If you want to connect, grab red, and let's do it. Our mission is to build community, search for meaning, deepen our spirituality, and make a better world. And who better to lead us in that today than our special guest minister, who is also a longtime member of this church. It's Emily Miller Mlcak. Mlcak. I knew she was going to help me. Sorry. She is, as I said, been a member of this parish and the choir. We have had the pleasure of hearing her multiple times share her talents with us. She is also primarily a teacher of writing, most recently as the co-director of the Young Writers Workshop at Bard College of Simon's Rock. She works as an ADHD coach, working to increase people's joy and resilience. We could all use that, I think. She's currently in seminary at Meadville Lombard Theological Seminary. Yes, she believes in the joy of the imperfect and practices her form of sacredness through singing, art making, weightlifting, and open water swimming. So there's a great red mug conversation, if I ever heard one. So thank you to Emily for being here, and for all the rest of the folks who are listed in the order of service who will be helping out today. I'm going way out of order, but I will get to every number on this list, I promise. So back up to number 4. If you have any questions, if this is your first time, and if you have questions about First Parish or anything bigger than that, you can turn to Emily today or to Kate Holland, who's our Director of Lifespan Education, as well as the rest of us probably have something to contribute to your questions. We'll try. Please now, would you turn to each other to say hello, Happy New Year, a wave to the camera. A heartfelt welcome to all. Thank you for being with us, and now I'm going to turn it over to Emily herself.
Thank you, Leah. Well, thank you all for coming out on a cold and earlier snowy day. So we have 2 quick last announcements. The first is that we are collecting winter coats in good condition and in all sizes for the people that CASA serves. A coat rack is downstairs. Please bring a hanger when you donate so you can hang them up. There's more information in the Unitarian, and you can also speak with Barbara Padula during coffee hour. The second is a plug for the book study on Lamentations, which starts next week. This feels like a time in which there's a lot of free-floating grief and sorrow. It's hard to know how to put it or how to express it. This is a chance to learn about the lament form, both in contemporary poetry and in the Hebrew Bible, as well as to write laments as a way of giving form to your own and the world's sorrow. It is 3 sessions, but it's okay if you can't attend all 3. There's more information in the Unitarian. You can talk with me, I'm running it, during coffee hour, and you can sign up by letting either Kate or myself know. And now, Max LaPenta and family will be lighting our chalice and leading us in our covenant.
with open minds and loving hearts, we gather to search for meaning, to care for one another, and to work together for a better world.
Good morning again. It is the first Sunday of the new calendar year. Many of us might make resolutions or steadfastly avoid making resolutions. The word resolution is the noun form from the stem resolvere, meaning to loosen, to simplify, to break down into a simpler form. Let us, in our time together today, loosen what might be troubling us. See ourselves and the world more clearly, and open ourselves up to hope. And now, let us rise, in body or in spirit, and sing our first hymn, number 20, Be Thou My Vision.
Good morning. My name is Kate Holland. I'm the Director of Lifespan Education here at First Parish, and my pronouns are she, her. So today I have a story with you, and many of you may have heard this story before. It's a classic. So my story is about an emperor, and across the lands, everyone knew that the emperor's favorite things was clothing. He loved it. He loved rich brocades, soft silks, beautiful colors, perfect prints. He loved clothing. And so much so that sometimes he would change his outfit 3 or 4 times a day. Often when a minister in his cabinet would say, "Where is the king?" And the king, then they would refer to it and say, "Well, the king is in his dressing room." So it was well known that this was a part of what the king did. So then one day, some tricky guys came to town. And so they let it be known that they were weavers. They could weave the most incredible, beautiful fabric ever. And it had a special property. When the fabric was finished, it could only be seen by someone who was truly good for the position that they were in, but fools couldn't see it at all. So the king said, "Of course, I have to have this fabric, and I'll know which of my ministers are supposed to be in their jobs, and I'll know who in my cabinet is kind of foolish." So he told the weavers, please get to work right away. I want a suit out of this wonderful fabric. So the weavers came in, they set up their looms, and they started asking for beautiful threads, golden threads made out of real gold, colors of reds and blues and greens. The king was so excited. He was so excited. But what he didn't know is that the sneaky guys decided to put all of that beautiful thread into a bag because they could sell it later for a good price. And so they started weaving. And the thing that was strange about it, even though they were going left and warp, there was nothing there. So they kept pretending that they were weaving and weaving. They worked day and night. And so the king at one point said, "I can't stand it any longer. I have to know what the fabric is like." So he sent his most trusted minister. He said, "He's very smart. I know he'll be honest with me. So I'm going to send him to see it." So his minister got to the place where they were weaving, and he came in, and they were working. And he was looking at them, and he couldn't see the fabric. He's like, "Oh my gosh, I must not be good at my job. Or maybe I'm foolish." So he sat there, and the weaver said, "Look how beautiful the fabric is. Isn't it great? Can't you see the beautiful glitter of the gold in the weave?" The minister stopped for a minute, and he went, "It's great. It's really great. It's beautiful. I can see it. Of course I can see it." Because he didn't want to be a fool. So he came back to the king and said, "It is amazing. You're going to love it." And so as time went on and on, the weavers weaved, and then they told the king that they were going to cut a beautiful suit for him to wear at the procession of the grand parade that would be going through the town. So everyone had heard about this fabric, had heard that if you were foolish or not right for your position, you couldn't see it. So everyone knew, and they were kind of excited. Like, I can figure out if my neighbor is kind of foolish and not so smart. So everyone was willing to go to the parade because they had to see it. So the time came, they went into the king's dressing room, and they went to put on, and they held up, "Here, sir, here is the jacket." And the king looked at it, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, I don't see any fabric." It was like, I must be foolish, or maybe I wasn't meant to be the king. They held up another piece. Here are the beautiful trousers for it. They are kind of a different color, but I feel like they go together very nicely. So the king took a breath and he was like, oh, it's really lovely. And so they were like, now is time for you, Your Highness, to get dressed for the parade so that you can go and parade down the pathway of the halls of the church, or of the castle, and down the lane through the whole city. It'll be great. So the king took off what he had on, and they put the coat on him. And they said, the fabric is so light, it's like having a spider web on you can barely feel it. And the king's like, oh, yeah, it's way light. And then they put on the pants, and he stood in the mirror, and he looked around, and he was like, oh my gosh, I can't see the fabric. So he couldn't not go down in the parade, and he didn't want anyone to know that he was foolish or he wasn't supposed to be the king. So he decided to take a breath. He put on his most regal of stances and decided he would step off. So he stepped off and went through the castle, and all of the maids and maidens and servants stood, and they were like, And they were like, it's beautiful, isn't it? It's beautiful fabric. Because they knew if they didn't say it was beautiful, people would think they were a fool. So they kind of went, oh, it's great, it's great. And the king paraded down into the streets of the city, and all the people were around, and everyone was like, yeah, that's like the best suit I've ever seen. But there was one little boy in the crowd, and he tugged on his mama's coat, and he said, Mom, the emperor is naked. His mom said, shh, can't say that. People will think you're a fool. And he pulled on her coat, but Mom, the emperor is naked. Some people around him heard him, and they first were like, oh, that must be a foolish boy, even though I can't see it either. Then the boy pulled again on her coat and said, Mom, the emperor is naked. And everyone started laughing, and they went, oh my gosh, the emperor is naked. But the emperor, as he saw people snickering and laughing, took a breath, and he's like, well, I'm in this far, I'm going for it. So he continued to go down the parade and eventually realized what a fool he had been. I like this story, it's classic, but I also like, the little boy had to have some sort of inner strength to stand up to what everyone was telling him. They all told him no, this wasn't true, and yet he knew it was, and he had the courage to stand up and speak the truth in that moment. It's a hard thing for all of us to do. So I will leave you with that message to think about for the day. I'm going to ask my friends that are going to seek, we have a fun day today, to go out the back, and we're going to ask the choir to play us out.
That's a great story, and it makes me think of the vision that charities have to have, right? Because they have to see, and not only see the need, but also have the imagination to see how they can fulfill it. So the offering we give each week is a symbol of our commitment to this faith community and to the life and works of this congregation. Instructions on how to donate online are in the order of service. If you are here for the first time, please let the plate pass you by. You are our guest. Today, we will be sharing our plate with World Central Kitchen, which provides meals in response to humanitarian, climate, and community crises. We receive your generosity with gratitude and in appreciation of all that sustains us. Your gifts maintain the strength of this community and all it does within these walls, as well as the work we do together to make the world a better place. The offering will now be given and gratefully received.
Good morning. I'm Debbie Levins, a lay minister for this congregation. This is the time in our service that we set aside to acknowledge all the joys and sorrows that we hold. In our sharing and our witness, we affirm our covenant to care for one another. As we face the uncertainty of the road ahead in our country and in the world, we light our vigil candle in solidarity with all those who are living in fear, especially those facing food insecurity, job loss, and any other economic challenges. May the love which abides in our community offer hope, strength, and peace in the days to come. If you have a personal joy or sorrow that you'd like to share, please come forward or raise your hand and I will bring you the mic. If you're online, you can type your joys or sorrows into the chat and we can read them from there. Leah.
I'd like to share with you a poem referencing the biblical narrative of the binding of Isaac for sacrifice by his father Abraham. So I give you Isaac by George Evans. I sit in the light of my father's house. All that's over. What went between us? To be sacrificed. Even the thought of it is insane, but we can live with anything. Change friends, desires, change what we covet in our Father's house, and live with anything. In guilt, there is no middle ground. In guilt, the mind revolves around deception, waste. We went together to the sea, and at the sea watched sailboats tack a cold expanse. The fact of life, he said, is that we change each other, change and never are the same. Regard the shift and tend the sea, that each idea and man must cross alone.
Thank you, Polly. Thank you, choir. It's a great privilege to be in this position listening. In my office, there's a large etching by the artist Bernard Greenbaum, who gave it to me on the occasion of my daughter's birth. It shows a scene from the story of Abraham and Isaac, when Abraham is directed by his God to sacrifice his son. An interesting choice to welcome a new baby. What might this story, one that often makes people recoil, have to say about our lives today? So, some of you may be familiar with the story, others not. I'm going to actually read those passages. So this is the story of Abraham and Isaac from the book of Genesis, chapter 22, verses 1 through 14. And this passage is often referred to as the Akedah, which means the binding of Isaac, or simply the binding. Sometime afterward, God put Abraham to the test. He said to him, "Abraham," and he answered, "Here I am." And he said, "Take your son, your favored one, Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the heights that I will point out to you." So early next morning, Abraham saddled his ass and took with him 2 of his servants and his son Isaac. He split the wood for the burnt offering, and he set out for the place of which God had told him. On the 3rd day, Abraham looked up and saw the place from afar. Then Abraham said to his servants, "You stay here with the ass. The boy and I will go up there. We will worship, and we will return to you." Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering and put it on his son Isaac. He himself took the firestone and the knife, and the 2 walked off together. Then Isaac said to his father Abraham, "Father!" And he answered, "Yes, my son." And he said, "Here are the firestone and the wood, but where is the sheep for the burnt offering?" And Abraham said, "God will see to the sheep for his burnt offering, my son." And the 2 of them walked on together. They arrived at the place of which God had told him. Abraham built an altar there. He laid out the wood. He bound his son Isaac. He laid him on the altar, on top of the wood. And Abraham picked up the knife to slay his son. Then an angel of the Lord called to him from heaven, "Abraham, Abraham!" And he answered, "Here I am." And he said, "Do not raise your hand against the boy or do anything to him. For now I know that you fear God, since you have not withheld your son, your favored one, from me." When Abraham looked up, his eye fell upon a ram caught in the thicket by his horns. So Abraham went and took the ram and offered it up as a burnt offering in the place of his son. And Abraham named that site Adonai Yireh, whence the present saying, "On the mount of the Lord there is a vision." What is one to make of this God of Abraham? On the surface, this is a lesson about faith, and Christian theology sees this sacrificial offering as a precursor for Jesus' crucifixion and God's gift of his only Son. Neither of these feels sufficient for the troubling nature of this story, which is why the Akedah has inspired so much commentary. At the heart of this story is erasure. There is, of course, the sacrifice itself, the death of something living, something beautiful and pure, to be transformed for the favor of a God. The story anticipates Isaac's death, and although he is not sacrificed, I will argue he is still erased, transformed by trauma. Abraham, too, faces erasure. In the choice between his son and his God, he confronts, as the talk poet David Anton puts it, a transformation that will break into your being and take you away from yourself. And if it takes you away from you, there's nothing left of you to be a self. And nearly all cultural tragedy revolves around this. Abraham leading his son up the hill to the sacrifice that would lead him no longer a father. How can Abraham be a father of nations if he is not a father? He is father and Abraham, but these cannot reside as they had in the same body. The knife he holds is the knife he is to use on Isaac, and if he uses this knife, he would metaphorically separate himself from himself. The painter Caravaggio captures this splitting of identities in his two versions of the sacrifice of Isaac. In one, Abraham is turned toward the angel. Here, Abraham seems most the father, thankful that he can release his son. In the other, Abraham is turned away, knife in hand. Isaac looks terrified, and the angel must put his hand on Abraham's arm to stop him. I note here that in the text, Isaac need only say once, "Father," for Abraham to respond, but the angel must call twice, "Abraham, Abraham." Abraham is paralyzed at this moment. After the altar is built, after the wood is laid down, after the binding of his son, he is stuck, unable to hear the angel, unable to move his hand either with release or with striking. It is this same paralysis that has him unable to see or hear the ram who is right there, entangled in the thorns. This Abraham, who earlier in Genesis argues with his God to be more kind, this Abraham, when put to the test, is strangely stranded, alone, metaphorically blinded to his own discernment and ethics. His faith turned to fear. He leaves the land and the people he knows to go away to sacrifice his son. He does not share any of this moral weight. And he could have. Here is how the Quran tells this story. Then when the boy reached the age to work with him, Abraham said, "Oh, my dear son, I have seen in a dream that I must sacrifice you, so tell me what you think." He replied, "Oh, my dear father, do as you are commanded. Allah willing, you will find me steadfast." Here the word must is in quotation marks. There is some sense of possibility of things being different. It is the son who chooses his own fate. In this reading, and in some Jewish midrash, the binding is desired so that the son will not move, so the sacrifice remains unblemished. And although the son is not named in this Quranic passage, it is presumed to be Ishmael, Abraham's son with Hagar. This is another erasure, a hidden story within a story. After the birth of Isaac, Sarah demands that Abraham banish Hagar and their son Ishmael to the wilderness, presumably to die. And Abraham does. There has already been a child left for sacrifice, removed from the family structure. Ishmael's faith in Allah, in his father, are powerful. Here, God's will trumps any other moral quandaries. The scholar Mary Rubenstein wryly notes that when we assign Abraham's morality to God, when we cordon Abraham off from the ethical, we say, well, that's God's stuff. We can assuage our own consciences, relieve that nothing so dreadful will ever be asked of us. This is wryly said. So too, the philosopher Jacques Derrida collapses the idea that God has any special moral authority. Derrida argues that every choice involves the sacrifice of something else. As he writes in The Gift of Death, I cannot respond to the call, the request, the obligation, or even the love of another without sacrificing the other, the other others. Every choice involves a sacrifice. So what is the sacrifice in this story after Isaac has been unbound? The ram, certainly, and the relationship between Isaac and Abraham. At the end of Genesis 22, we get this. Abraham then returned to his servants, and they departed together for Beersheba, and Abraham stayed in Beersheba. Abraham goes down from Mount Moriah alone, and Abraham and Isaac never speak again. Isaac loses his mother as well. Sarah dies at the start of the next chapter. We do not know whether she knows her son is alive, or if she even knew that he was being taken for sacrifice. She has been left out of any conversation or decision-making, and it is suggested she dies of her grief, never seeing Isaac again. The rabbi Stephen Spector writes that Isaac's character fits the profile of traumatic injury. Trauma is especially harmful when it happens at the hands of people on whom one depends for nurturance and security. Trauma victims can develop problems with emotional regulation and cognition. They also may develop illnesses and fear dying early or abruptly. And being traumatized once makes it more likely that the person will be traumatized again later. All of those things appear in the story of Isaac. At the end of Isaac's life, he has gone blind, and in his blindness, he is tricked by his wife Leah and his younger son Jacob to give away his inheritance. As Spector notes, the ruse is preposterous. Jacob's outfit is outlandish. His voice doesn't sound like his virile older brother's, and he claims to have returned from the hunt too quickly. Isaac is understandably suspicious. And yet, the trick works too easily. Isaac seems almost impaired as he tries to figure out if he is being duped at this critical moment of his life. Trauma begets trauma. The vision of Moriah is turned to blindness. Abraham, Isaac, the ram, this God. How might we be each of these? Perhaps you find yourself as Abraham, caught between choices that seek to erase you. I think of a dear friend whose culture has meant she's spent decades of her life caring for her parents without much of a life of her own. She writes to me in despair, and yet she cannot find a way out of this, for to stop caring for them would be to stop being a daughter. And if she was not a daughter, she is not sure what that would leave her. Or other friends who have given up their careers, their hobbies, sometimes their health, to be parents, to be caretakers. Every choice involves a sacrifice. Or perhaps we are Isaac, finding himself in this horrible position, and yet, as midrash claims, willingly and knowingly going to his own sacrifice. When might you have lost for the greater good? Because it seemed like the right thing to do. Or the ram? Yes, sometimes we are the ram, caught without any choice. For me, the thorn bush surrounding the ram represents the larger patterns of history, culture, systemic oppression, and privilege that we find ourselves in without any agency of our own. We are born into this world, into a bounded time and space, born into our families, our bodies, and at least our initial beliefs. How are you, the ram? And let's not forget Abraham's God here. How might we have tested those we love? If only you love me, if you truly loved me, thought the same way, held my values, you would have become an engineer, lost the way, got a better job, and so forth. When have you put someone in an impossible situation? Maybe even yourself. And what about the angel? How might we be like the angel? I returned to Caravaggio's two paintings of the sacrifice of Isaac. In both, the angel and Isaac seem to be around the same age. They resemble each other. Indeed, the same model has been used for both figures in the later painting. This doubling suggests that the angel represents the life that Isaac might have had, a life free from trauma. The angel is the life we do not get, unmarred by choice, unmarred by the limits of time. And perhaps Isaac tried to process his trauma. According to the Rabbi Elliot Cosgrove, bleak as our story is, the rabbis offer a sliver of redemption and the possibility of reconciliation. The father and son who went up the mountain together go down separately. Abraham returns to Beersheba, but where did Isaac go? We are told in Genesis 24, verse 26, the answer. And Isaac returned from Be'er Lahai-roi, for he had settled in the region of the Negev. Where is Be'er Lahai-roi? The rabbis ask. And what was Isaac doing there? It was, according to midrash, the home of Hagar. That same well, that Be'er, that saved Hagar when she almost perished, when Hagar and Ishmael were exiled upon Isaac's birth. Why does Isaac, in this vulnerable moment, mourning the death of his mother Sarah, go to see his stepmother, whom he's never known, who would have every reason to hate him? I argue that Isaac chooses to seek connection. He cannot connect with his father. Some ties can never be repaired. But he can work to repair some brokenness. He can choose to right the wrong of Ishmael and Hagar's banishment. It is in relationship, in community, that we can have that vision, to see the ties that bind us, to notice whether they are entangling or supportive or suffocating, to see what might be restored or repaired or loosened. We heal in community with others. And that etching that was sent to me 25 years ago when my daughter was born, an act of friendship. And the etching itself, telling the story of Abraham and Isaac's ruptured relationship, is actually two etchings framed together, one by Bernie and one by his then 8-year-old son. Perhaps he was telling me, with this gift, that though there would be sacrifices and hard choices in raising my child, there would also be overflowing joy and love. He was right. May the ties that bind you be of love. Blessed be. Our final hymn for the day is number 1015 in the Teal hymn book, I Know I Can. I think this is a new hymn for us at First Parish, and it's one of those songs that is meant to be sung freely. So in the spirit of loosening and in the joy of the imperfect, let yourself sing out even as we learn this together. Please rise in body or in spirit.
Lord.
This is a benediction written by the Reverend Sam Teitel. Go. Look the world in the eye at its ugliest until you see beauty. Go. Look the world in the eye at its darkest until you see light. Go. Look yourself in the eye at your worst until you see that you are a beloved child of the sacred. Amen.